Story 1. The truck stop that stays with you. I paid for diesel at the Crossroads Travel Plaza with a $20 bill, and the cashier gave me change in coins that didn't exist yet. Quarters dated 2027, dimes from 2029, and one nickel that showed a date so far in the future the numbers made my eyes hurt to read. I was staring at currency from years that hadn't happened, minted by a government that hadn't made them, and the cashier name tag reading Sarah in letters that seemed to shift when I wasn't looking directly at them. Smiled like this was completely normal. "You'll need those later," she said. "Everyone who stops here does." It was 2:34 a.m. on May 16th, 2023, and I was about to learn that some truck stops exist outside normal time, serving travelers who haven't arrived yet and customers who left decades ago. My name is Raymond Torres, and I've been trying to spend those coins for 8 months now, but every time I use one, it comes back to me. The Crossroads wasn't on my GPS. I'd been driving Route 50 through Nevada, the loneliest road, hauling computer components from Reno to Salt Lake City when my fuel light came on earlier than expected. My calculations said I should have had another 60 miles of range, but the gauge showed empty. No choice but to find fuel immediately. That's when I saw the Crossroads sign, illuminated by lights that seemed too bright, too white, advertising diesel at prices that were 20 cents cheaper than anywhere else in Nevada. The parking lot held 12 trucks when I pulled in, but they were wrong. Models I didn't recognize, configurations that didn't match current regulations, paint schemes for companies I'd never heard of. One truck looked like a Peterbilt, but the cab design was sleeker, more aerodynamic than anything currently manufactured. Another had an electric charging port where the fuel tank should be, but electric trucks weren't common yet in 2023. These vehicles looked like they were from a future that hadn't arrived. I parked away from the others, approached the main building. Standard truck stop layout, convenience store, restaurant, showers, driver's lounge. But the products on the shelves inside were wrong. Snack brands I didn't recognize. Drinks with labels showing copyright dates in the late 2020s. Magazines with covers discussing events that hadn't happened. I picked up a newspaper, the Las Vegas Review-Journal, dated September 3rd, 2026, and read headlines about a hurricane that had hit California, about a president I'd never heard of, about technology that didn't exist yet. "We get a wide range of travelers," Sarah said from behind the counter. I hadn't heard her approach. She was maybe 30, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to reflect light strangely, like they were showing me my own future. Past, present, future. The Crossroads serves everyone. "What year are you from?" "What year am I from?" I repeated. "I'm from now, 2023. "Ah, recent vintage. We don't get many from your time. Most of our customers are from the 30s and 40s. 2030s and 40s, I mean. Though we had someone from 1967 last week, he was very confused." She gestured at the store. "Everything here is relative to when you are. For you, most of this looks futuristic. For others, it looks historical. The Crossroads adjusts." "This is insane." "Is it? You needed fuel. We provided it. Your tank is full now, by the way. Filled itself while we've been talking. That's part of our service." I looked out the window. My truck did look different, sat higher, like the tanks had filled. But I hadn't authorized a fill, hadn't given anyone permission to touch my vehicle. "I can't pay for fuel I didn't pump. You already paid, with future money. The 20 you gave me? Look at it closer when I return it." She slid a $20 bill across the counter. I picked it up, examined it. Standard currency, except the date. Series 2028, 5 years in the future. But I'd paid with a 20 from my wallet, money I'd withdrawn from an ATM in Reno yesterday. "You gave me future money," I said. "No, you gave me future money. It's been in your wallet for a week, even though it won't be printed for 5 more years. Time is flexible here. Cause and effect don't follow normal sequences. You'll understand eventually. I pocketed the 20, backed away from the counter. I'm leaving. Of course. Everyone leaves eventually, but you'll come back. Everyone does. The crossroads has a way of appearing when you need it, whether you want it or not. And those coins, she gestured to the change I'd pocketed, they'll help you when you need them most. Use them wisely. I left without responding, climbed back into my truck, started the engine. Pulled out of the crossroads parking lot onto Route 50, heading east toward Salt Lake City. Drove for 3 hours without incident, delivered my load, returned home to Sacramento. Tried to forget about the crossroads and the impossible truck stop, but the coins wouldn't leave me alone. I found them everywhere, in my pockets when I was certain I'd removed them, in my truck's cup holder when I knew it had been empty, on my bathroom counter, arranged in patterns. They multiplied somehow, always the same coins, quarters from 2027, dimes from 2029, that one nickel from a date too far to read. I tried throwing them away, found them back in my possession within hours. Tried giving them away. They returned. The coins were bound to me and I couldn't escape them. 3 months after the crossroads, I used one of the quarters in a vending machine at a rest stop in Oregon. Got a water bottle, drank it, continued driving. 2 hours later, I found the same quarter in my pocket, and the water bottle reappeared in my truck's passenger seat, full and sealed. Like I'd never consumed it. Like the transaction had reversed itself, I experimented, used a dime to pay part of a fuel bill. The dime returned within an hour, and my fuel gauge showed the same level as before I'd filled up, like the fuel had vanished. The coins allowed me to purchase things temporarily, but nothing stayed purchased. Every transaction reversed. Except time. That was the trick. The coins didn't just reverse transactions, they reversed the time associated with them. When I bought fuel with a future coin, I didn't just get the fuel back, I got the time back. The hour I'd spent stopped at the fuel station rewound, and suddenly I had that hour again to use differently. I tested it carefully. Used a quarter to buy dinner at a truck stop. Ate the meal. Got back on the road. The quarter returned. The meal vanished from my stomach like I'd never eaten, and I found myself an hour earlier in my timeline, approaching the same truck stop with the choice to stop or continue. I continued this time, gained an hour of driving that I shouldn't have had. The coins were giving me time. Every purchase I made with them eventually reversed, and the time spent on that purchase returned to me. I could buy hours, buy days, by spending and respending the same coins infinitely. I was gaining time in a way that shouldn't be possible. But there was a cost. I started seeing myself, other versions, other timelines, other choices. Driving on I-80, I passed myself going the opposite direction, and both of us stared in shock. Stopped at a rest area, found myself already parked there, sleeping in my cab. The coins were fragmenting my timeline, creating overlaps, moments where multiple versions of me existed simultaneously because I'd rewound and replayed the same hours in different ways. I tried to stop using them, locked them in a box, buried the box in my backyard, found them in my pocket the next morning, drove to the ocean, threw them into the Pacific, found them in my truck that afternoon. The coins couldn't be abandoned. They were part of me now, bound by whatever rules governed the crossroads. 6 months after my first visit, the crossroads appeared again. I was driving Route 50, same stretch, different load, saw the sign, saw the impossible truck stop, pulled in because I needed answers. Sarah was behind the counter unchanged. "Welcome back, Raymond. You've been using the coins well." "What are they doing to me? Why am I seeing multiple versions of myself?" "Because you're living multiple timelines simultaneously. Every time you rewind with the coins, you create a branch. Most people don't notice. The branches merge back together eventually. But you've been rewinding so much so often that your branches aren't merging anymore. They're running parallel. You're existing in 17 different timelines right now, all slightly offset, all overlapping. How do I stop it? You don't. You learn to navigate it. The coins are tools, Raymond. They give you time, but time is just another dimension to travel. You're becoming unstuck, existing across multiple instances of your own life. Eventually, you'll be able to choose which timeline to inhabit, which version of yourself to be. It's a gift. It's a curse. I'm losing track of which memories are real. All memories are real, they're just from different branches. You delivered your load in Salt Lake City and you didn't deliver it because you rewound and took a different route. Both happened. Both are true. You're living a superposition of lives. I want it to stop. Take the coins back. She shook her head. They're yours now. Everyone who stops here receives something, payment, gift, curse. The words don't matter. You needed time, so the crossroads gave you time. What you do with it is your choice. I left again, drove away, but I knew she was right. The coins weren't leaving. The timelines weren't merging. I was stuck in multiple versions of my own life, and every time I used the coins, I created more branches, more versions, more opportunities to diverge from myself. Now I drive carefully. I use the coins rarely, only in emergencies, only when I truly need to rewind a mistake or gain time I can't afford to lose. And sometimes I see myself on the road, other Raymonds driving other trucks in other timelines, making different choices. We nod to each other in passing, acknowledging the strange brotherhood of men who stopped at the crossroads and paid with money from the future. The coins are still in my pocket. Quarters from 2027, dimes from 2029, that nickel from a date I still can't read. They multiply slowly, more appearing each month. By my count, I have 37 coins now, enough to rewind weeks if I needed to. Enough to fracture my timeline into hundreds of branches if I was reckless. I don't know what happens when I reach the dates on the coins. When 2027 arrives, will those quarters stop working? Will they finally stay spent? Or will I find myself at the crossroads again, paying for fuel with coins from even further in the future, extending this strange loop indefinitely? Sarah said everyone comes back. She was right. I've been to the crossroads 9 times now, always on Route 50, always when I least expect it. Sometimes I stop. Sometimes I drive past, but it's always there waiting, serving travelers from times that haven't happened and times that are long gone. And every time I stop, Sarah gives me the same knowing smile and says, "You're getting better at navigating the branches. Soon you'll understand what the crossroads really is." I don't want to understand. I want normal time, linear progression, one timeline where I exist in one place at one moment. But those coins in my pocket won't allow it. They've made me something else. A traveler not just across space, but across my own parallel lives. And somewhere in the future, in 2027 or 29 or whatever date is on that unreadable nickel, there's another crossroads waiting. Another Sarah. Another transaction that will bind me further to roads that exist outside time. The coins are heavy tonight. Heavier than metal should be. I think they're counting down to something, pulling me toward a moment when all my timelines converge or collapse entirely. When that happens, will I be 17 Raymonds merging into one? Or will I fragment completely, scattered across possibilities existing everywhere and nowhere? I'll find out. We all do eventually, Sarah says. Everyone who stops at the crossroads learns the truth about roads and time and the cost of traveling between moments. I just hope that when I learn it, there's still enough of me left to understand. Story 2. The convoy you can't leave. The 18 trucks appeared behind me at mile marker 412 on I-94, and when I tried to let them pass, they matched my speed exactly. When I accelerated, they accelerated. When I slowed, they slowed. Maintained perfect formation. 3 rows of 6 trucks each, all identical white Peterbilt 579s with no company markings, no visible drivers, windows too dark to see through. They'd been following me for 93 miles now, and my CB radio was broadcasting my own voice back to me, saying things I hadn't said yet. "Don't try to exit at mile marker 505, I heard myself say through the static. "They won't let you leave. The convoy only stops when it reaches the depot, and you don't want to see what's at the depot." It was 11:17 p.m. on July 4th, 2023, and I was trapped in a convoy I never joined, heading toward a destination I hadn't chosen. My name is Angela Morrison, and I learned that some formations of trucks aren't heading anywhere on the map. They're traveling to places that only exist when enough vehicles move together. I'd first noticed them in my mirrors near Fargo. Thought nothing of it initially. Trucks convoy together all the time for company and safety. But these maintained impossible precision. Exactly 30 feet between each vehicle, exactly aligned across all 3 rows. Like they were locked together somehow, moving as a single entity. No variance, no adjustment, no human imperfection in the formation. I tried changing lanes. They changed with me, all 18 simultaneously. Tried accelerating to 80, they matched. Tried slowing to 40, they matched again. I was boxed in by trucks that responded to my every movement with synchronized precision, and I couldn't see anyone driving them. The CB had started broadcasting 20 miles ago. My voice, but wrong. Inflection off. Word choices I wouldn't use. Delivering warnings about things that hadn't happened yet. "The convoy will exit at mile marker 505, my voice said. "You'll try to stay on the highway, but your truck will follow them anyway. Your steering wheel will turn itself. Your brakes won't respond. You'll be pulled off the road with them, and then you'll see the depot." I grabbed my CB handset. "Who is this? How are you broadcasting on my frequency?" "I'm you," the voice replied immediately. 12 hours ahead. You're going to experience what I'm experiencing now, and you're going to try to warn yourself the same way I'm warning you. But it won't work. It never works. The convoy always reaches the depot. Everyone in formation always arrives. There's no one driving those trucks behind me. Yes, there is. You just can't see them yet. They're drivers who joined the convoy before you. They're in the depot now, unloading, and their trucks are coming back empty for the next pickup. You're the cargo this time, Angela, you and your load both. What's at the depot? Static consumed the channel. When the voice returned, it was layered, multiple versions of my voice speaking slightly out of sync, creating an echo effect. The depot is where deliveries go when they're too late for the real world. When you miss your delivery window by enough time, when the customer has moved on or died or doesn't exist anymore, the load gets rerouted. The convoy collects these orphan deliveries and brings them to the depot, where they're unloaded into storage that exists outside normal logistics. You're 3 days late, Angela. Your delivery window closed 72 hours ago. The company that ordered your cargo went bankrupt yesterday. Your load is orphaned. The convoy claimed it. I checked my paperwork. I was right. My delivery had been due in Minneapolis on July 1st. I'd been delayed by breakdowns, by traffic, by bad weather. Now it was July 4th, 3 days late. But the customer's bankruptcy wasn't my fault. I'd deliver, they'd figure out the financial situation, I'd get paid eventually. Standard complications. Except the convoy said different. Said my cargo was orphaned, unclaimed, rerouted to somewhere else. Mile marker 480 passed. 25 miles until 505, 25 miles until whatever happened at that exit. I tried calling my dispatcher, no signal. Tried my company's emergency line, no signal. My phone showed full bars but couldn't connect to anything. The convoy was jamming communications somehow, isolating me. I thought about ramming through, slamming my brakes, letting them crash into me, forcing a break in formation. But 18 trucks at highway speed, The pileup would be catastrophic. I'd probably die. And some instinct told me the trucks wouldn't crash. They'd stop impossibly fast, maintain formation, wait for me to start moving again. The radio crackled. Different voice this time. Male, older. "Don't fight it, Angela." I tried fighting. Broke 3 ribs in my left arm when I tried to force my truck off the road. The steering wheel resisted, wrenched itself out of my hands. "The convoy doesn't allow defection. You're part of the formation now. Accept it." "Who are you?" "Driver who joined the convoy 6 trucks ahead of you. August of last year. I've been trying to escape for 11 months. Can't. Every time I think I'm free, I find myself back in formation, heading to the depot again. It's a loop. We deliver to the depot, unload our orphaned cargo, drive away thinking we're free, then discover our next load is orphaned too, and the convoy forms around us again. You're joining permanently, Angela, just like I did. Just like the 17 others in this formation. There has to be a way out. There isn't. The depot doesn't release drivers. We're too late for the real world now. Too far behind schedule. We exist in the gaps, the delays, the missed connections. We're logistics failures personified, and the depot collects us. Mile marker 490. 15 miles left. I could see exit 505 on my GPS, a standard interchange with a state highway. Nothing special marked it. No indication of what the convoy claimed waited there. I tried one more thing. Put my truck in neutral, let off the accelerator completely. My truck should have started slowing, should have decelerated from momentum loss. Instead, it maintained speed, 70 miles per hour exactly, even with no throttle input. The convoy was pulling me forward somehow, generating momentum that defied physics. My CB erupted with voices, dozens of them, all overlapping, all saying the same thing. "Don't go to the depot, don't go to the depot, don't go to..." Then cutting out, replaced by silence. "Those are previous warnings," my own voice said, cutting through the static. "Everyone who joins the convoy tries to warn others, tries to broadcast their experience backward through time or space or whatever dimension allows CB radios to carry these messages. But the warnings never work. The convoy always completes. The depot always receives." Mile marker 500, 5 miles. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel even though I wasn't actually steering anymore. The truck drove itself, following the convoy's synchronized movement, pulling me toward exit 505. "What happens after the depot?" I asked. "After we unload?" "You don't remember unloading. You remember entering the depot, driving into the warehouse, backing up to a dock. Then nothing. Then you're on a highway again, new load, thinking you're free, but you're not free. Your truck is part of the convoy now. Your CB broadcasts warnings that don't help. You exist in permanent delay, delivering loads that have no destination, serving logistics that don't connect to the real world." Mile marker 505 appeared, exit ramp curving off to the right, and my truck turned, following the convoy, all 18 vehicles moving as one. I didn't touch the steering wheel. It turned itself smoothly, precisely, guiding me down the ramp onto the state highway. The landscape changed. That's the only way to describe it. The highway looked normal, asphalt, painted lines, reflectors, but the land around it was wrong. Empty. Not desert empty or plain empty, just absent. Like reality faded beyond the road, leaving void. No buildings, no vegetation, no terrain features. Just gray nothing extending in all directions. We drove for what felt like hours, but might have been minutes. Time behaved strangely here. The convoy maintained formation, and ahead I finally saw it. The depot. Massive warehouse complex, corrugated metal walls extending impossibly high. Hundreds of loading docks visible along the front. Lights illuminated everything with harsh white glare, but I couldn't identify the light source. No visible bulbs or fixtures, just ambient illumination coming from everywhere and nowhere. The convoy approached the depot, began splitting up. Individual trucks peeled off towards specific docks, following paths marked by painted lines that glowed faintly. My truck followed its designated path, backing toward Dock 247. I didn't touch the controls. The truck parked itself, aligned perfectly. I sat frozen, waiting for someone to open my trailer to start unloading. Nothing happened. The dock door behind me rolled up and I felt movement in my trailer. Heard cargo shifting, straps releasing, the sound of boxes sliding across the floor. My trailer was unloading itself, or something in the depot was unloading it. I couldn't see what, didn't want to see. 5 minutes later, the movement stopped. My trailer was empty. I knew it without checking, could feel the weight difference in how my truck sat. The dock door rolled down. My engine started itself and my truck pulled forward, following another glowing path away from the depot. The landscape reversed. The void faded, replaced by normal terrain. Suddenly I was on a highway again, I-94 heading west. My GPS showed mile marker 273. I'd somehow jumped backward, lost distance, ended up 232 miles behind where I'd exited to the depot. My phone rang. Dispatcher. Morrison, where the hell are you? You were supposed to deliver in Minneapolis 8 hours ago. I did deliver, I said, confused. I just unloaded. Your GPS shows you're near Bismarck, heading the wrong direction. What's going on? I checked my trailer through the camera system. It was loaded. Full of cargo, the same cargo I'd just unloaded at the depot, or different cargo that looked identical. I couldn't tell. I'll turn around, I said. Head back to Minneapolis. You better. You're 3 days late already. Customer is furious. 3 days late. The same delay that had triggered the convoy the first time. I was looping. The depot had taken my late delivery, but now I was late again, heading toward the same destination with the same cargo, repeating the cycle. I checked my mirrors. No convoy yet, but I knew they'd appear eventually. At mile marker 412, 18 trucks would form behind me and I'd be trapped again, pulled toward depot and unloading and reset. An endless cycle of being too late, delivering to nowhere, starting over. That was 3 months ago. I've been to the depot 17 times since. Each time I try to deliver on schedule, try to avoid being late. But complications always arise. Traffic, breakdowns, delays I can't control. And when I cross that threshold, 3 days late, customer unavailable, cargo orphaned, the convoy forms. 18 white Peterbilts with no visible drivers pulling me toward the depot that exists outside normal space. I've learned to recognize the other drivers, seen them at real truck stops, at legitimate warehouses, living apparently normal lives between depot trips. We don't talk about it. What's there to say? We're all trapped in the same loop, serving the same phantom logistics network, delivering cargo to nowhere. My CB broadcasts warnings constantly now. I hear dozens of voices, all warning about the convoy, all trying to prevent others from joining. But the warnings never work. The depot always needs more drivers, more trucks, more orphaned cargo to collect. Late deliveries create the opportunity, and once you're late enough, the convoy claims you. I don't fight anymore. When mile marker 412 approaches and I see those 18 trucks form behind me, I just accept it. Let my truck follow the formation, let the convoy pull me toward exit 505. Let the depot unload my cargo into whatever void it feeds. Then I wake up 200 miles back, loaded again, late again, trapped again. The depot is patient. It's been collecting delayed deliveries for decades, maybe centuries. And it will keep collecting, keep pulling trucks off the road, keep creating this ghost logistics network that serves destinations outside reality. If you're running late, more than 3 days late, watch your mirrors. If 18 white Peterbilts form behind you in perfect formation, don't fight. Don't try to escape. The convoy doesn't allow defection. You're part of the depot's network now, delivering to nowhere, forever behind schedule, forever too late for the real world. I'm Angela Morrison. I've been to the depot 17 times. I'll go again tomorrow, and the day after. And every time I'm late enough for the convoy to claim me. This is my route now. This is where late deliveries go. And if you see me on the road heading toward mile marker 505 with 18 trucks behind me, don't wave. Don't try to help. Just be grateful the convoy hasn't formed behind you yet. Story 3. The hitchhiker who's already there. She was sitting in my passenger seat when I returned from the rest stop bathroom, and I'd locked the doors. I know I'd locked them. Habit from 20 years of trucking. Never leave your cab unsecured. But there she was anyway, buckled in, wearing a dress that looked 30 years out of date, smiling at me like we'd planned this. "Thank you for the ride," she said. "We have 412 miles together. I'll get out at mile marker 847, same as always." I hadn't offered her a ride, hadn't seen her near my truck, hadn't unlocked the doors. But she acted like this had already been decided, like we'd already driven those 412 miles, like this was a repeat of something that had happened before. My name is Derek Franklin, 47 years old, and I was about to discover that some passengers don't hitchhike from the roadside. They're already waiting in your destination, riding backward through your journey to meet you. It was 3:47 a.m. on September 19th, 2023. I'd been driving I-40 eastbound through New Mexico, hauling furniture from Flagstaff to Nashville. Standard run, nothing unusual. Stopped at a rest area near Tucumcari for a bathroom break and coffee from the vending machine. Was gone from my truck maybe 10 minutes. Came back to find her sitting there, hands folded in her lap, looking straight ahead through the windshield. "Get out of my truck," I said, standing at the driver's door, not climbing in. "I can't," she replied. "Not until mile marker 847. That's where I always get out. We've done this 6 times now, Derek. You know the routine. I've never seen you before in my life." "You have. You just don't remember yet. Memory works differently for us. You're moving forward through time, experiencing this as new. I'm moving backward, experiencing this as repetition. For me, this is our 7th ride together. For you, it's the 1st. But by mile marker 847, you'll understand." I pulled out my phone, started to call 911. She didn't move, didn't react, just sat calmly waiting. "If you call the police, you'll create a paradox," she said. "They won't find me. I don't exist in the present tense the way you do. I only exist in transit, in movement between points. Once you stop moving forward, I disappear, but start driving again, and I'll reappear. We're locked into this journey together, Derek. 412 miles from mile marker 435 to mile marker 847. That's our route. This is insane. Is it? Check your logbook. Check your records. You've driven this route 6 times in the past 2 years. Same load, same dates, same departure time. Every September 19th at 3:47 a.m. You leave this rest stop with me in your passenger seat, whether you remember it or not. And every time we have the same conversation. You threaten to call police, I explain the paradox. You eventually start driving because you have a deadline. It always happens the same way. I checked my logbook. She was right. 6 trips, all on September 19th, all leaving Tucumcari rest area at approximately 3:47 a.m. Identical routes, identical loads. I'd never noticed the pattern before, but seeing it laid out was undeniable. "What are you?" I asked. "Trapped," she said simply. "I died at mile marker 847 on September 19th, 1993. Car accident. Head-on collision with a drunk driver. But I didn't die immediately. I was alive for 412 miles before that moment. Drove from Tucumcari rest area to mile marker 847 in my own car. not knowing it was my last drive. And somehow, when I died, I got stuck in those miles. I replay them backward, riding with truckers who travel the same route, experiencing my last journey in reverse over and over. That doesn't make sense. Death doesn't make sense. Neither does time. I've had 30 years to think about it, riding backward through my last trip thousands of times, and I still don't understand. I just know I'm here, in your truck, riding toward the moment I died. For you, we're driving toward the future. For me, we're driving toward my past. And when we reach mile marker 847, I'll get out, walk to the location where my accident happened, and cease to exist until the next driver comes along. I should have forced her out, should have refused to drive with a ghost or hallucination or whatever she was. But something in her voice carried truth that was hard to deny. And I did have a deadline. Nashville warehouse opened at 8 a.m. tomorrow, and I needed to keep moving to make it. I climbed into the cab, started the engine. She remained visible, solid, apparently real. Pulled back onto I-40, continued eastbound. She sat quietly watching the road, occasionally glancing at me with sad eyes. "You said this is our 7th time," I said after 20 minutes of silence. "What happened the other 6 times?" "Same thing that will happen this time. We drive, we talk, I answer your questions, you slowly accept that I'm real. At mile marker 847, I thank you for the ride, get out and walk into the desert. You continue to Nashville, deliver your load, forget about me. Then next September 19th, you take the same load, stop at the same rest stop at the same time, find me in your passenger seat again, and we repeat everything. Why don't I remember? Because the loop resets your memory. Every year you experience this as new. Every year I experience it as repetition. You're moving forward through time linearly. I'm stuck in a 412-mile loop, moving backward through September 19th, 1993 forever. We intersect once per year when you happen to drive this exact route at this exact time. What happens if I drive a different route? What if I avoid this load? You can't. You'll always take it. Something will always bring you here. A last-minute load offer, a cancellation, a route change. The loop requires you. I need someone to ride with, someone moving forward to anchor me. Without drivers like you, I'd be stuck at mile marker 847, unable to travel backward, unable to experience my last journey. You're my vehicle, Derek. Literally. We drove in silence for an hour. She didn't move much, didn't fidget, didn't do any of the things living people do unconsciously. Just sat perfectly still, watching the road, existing in a way that was too calm, too patient. "Tell me about your accident," I finally said. "I was driving from Tucumcari to Amarillo, September 19th, 1993. I was 23 years old, heading home from visiting friends. It was late, around 4 a.m. I'd stopped at that rest area for coffee, same one where you picked me up. Got back in my car, continued east. Traffic was light. I was alone on the road, or thought I was. At mile marker 847, I saw headlights approaching in my lane. Wrong direction. The drunk driver had crossed the median, was heading straight at me. I tried to swerve, but there wasn't time. We hit head-on. He survived. I didn't. I'm sorry. Don't be. I've had 30 years to process it, thousands of repetitions of my last 412 miles. I've ridden with truckers, with tourists, with locals. Anyone who stops at that rest area at the right time. Some see me, most don't. But those who do, like you, become part of my loop. You'll carry me backward through my last drive, bring me closer to the moment I died. Then I'll walk into the desert and experience the crash again. It happens every time someone completes the journey with me. What happens during the crash? I die. Feel the impact, feel the pain, feel everything ending. Then I'm back at mile marker 847 waiting for the next driver. The loop resets and I ride backward again. It's been 30 years of dying and resetting, Derek. Thousands of times. I'm so tired. Her voice broke on that last sentence. First real emotion she'd shown. I glanced at her, saw tears on her face, saw exhaustion that went beyond physical into something spiritual. Can I help you? I asked. Can I break the loop? I don't think so. I've asked every driver. None of them have found a way. The loop is tied to the route, to the date, to the moment of my death. It's fixed, immutable. I'm trapped in September 19th, 1993 forever, riding my last 412 miles backward until time ends or I fade completely. We crossed into Texas, mile markers climbed 600, 650, 700. Approaching the end of her journey, the beginning of mine. She became more agitated, fidgeting now, breathing faster. The closer we got to 847, the more present she became, like reality was solidifying her. It's going to happen soon, she said at mile marker 800. When we reach 847, I'll get out. Don't follow me. Don't try to see the accident. It's not meant for your eyes. Just let me go. Continue driving. Forget me if you can. I don't want to forget you. You will? The loop ensures it. By tomorrow, I'll be a vague memory like a dream. By next week, you won't remember me at all. Until September 19th next year, when you'll stop at that rest stop again, find me in your seat again, and we'll have this exact conversation again. It's how the loop works. You're as trapped as I am, Derek. You just don't know it yet. Mile marker 847 appeared. I slowed, pulled onto the shoulder. She unbuckled her seatbelt, opened the passenger door, stepped out onto the roadside, stood looking at me through the open door. Thank you for the ride, she said. You're kind, like the others. I hope next year you'll be kind again, even though you won't remember this. What's your name? I asked. You never told me. Rachel Santos. I was 23. I liked music and road trips and late-night drives. I was going to start graduate school that fall. I had a future until I didn't. Remember me, Derek, at least until the loop makes you forget. She closed the door, walked into the desert. I watched her go, watched her approach a specific spot about 50 yards from the highway. She stopped there, stood still, then vanished. One moment present, the next gone, like she'd been erased. I continued to Nashville, delivered my load, returned home. Tried to hold on to the memory of Rachel Santos, the hitchhiker who rode backward through her death. But she was right. The memory faded. By the next week, I couldn't remember her face. By the next month, I wasn't sure if it had happened at all. Until September 19th the following year. I was in Arizona, completely different route, when I got a last-minute call. Load cancellation, needed someone to haul furniture from Flagstaff to Nashville. Departure time, 3:47 a.m. from Tucumcari rest area. Same load, same route, same time. I took it without understanding why. Stopped at the rest area for coffee and bathroom. Locked my doors. Came back to find her in my passenger seat wearing the same dress, smiling the same sad smile. Thank you for the ride, she said. We have 412 miles together. I'll get out at mile marker 847, same as always. And I understood. The loop had reset. For her, this was our 8th ride. For me, it was the 2nd, but I didn't remember the first. We do this every year, September 19th, 3:47 a.m., 412 miles from Tucumcari to mile marker 847. She'd ride backward toward her death. I'd drive forward toward Nashville, and we'd intersect in those miles, trapped together in her loop. I know you, I said. Rachel Santos. This is our 2nd time. She looked surprised. You remember? That's new. No one ever remembers. I wrote it down. After last year, I wrote everything in my logbook. Your name, your story, the route. I wrote it so I wouldn't forget. Tears filled her eyes again. Thank you. No one's ever remembered before. We drove those 412 miles together, and this time I knew what was coming. At mile marker 847, I pulled over, she got out, walked into the desert, vanished at the spot where she died 31 years ago. And this time I marked it. Left a small memorial, a cross made of highway reflectors with her name carved into the metal. Next year I'll drive this route again. September 19th, 3:47 a.m., same load, same destination. I'll find Rachel in my passenger seat and we'll drive 412 miles together. I'll remember because I write it down every time. And maybe after enough repetitions, after enough years of remembering when everyone else forgets, I'll find a way to break her loop. To free her from September 19th, 1993, to let Rachel Santos finally rest. Until then, I'm her anchor, her ride, her companion through 412 miles of backward time. And I won't forget. Not this year, not ever. Because someone needs to remember Rachel Santos, the girl who died at 23 and got trapped in her last drive forever. Story 4. The fuel that never runs out. My truck's fuel gauge has been hovering at exactly 1/8 of a tank for 460 miles, and the diesel I'm burning smells wrong. Like petroleum mixed with copper and something organic, something that might have been alive once. I filled up at a station that doesn't appear on any map, paid an attendant who didn't have a reflection in the window, and now my truck won't run out of fuel no matter how far I drive. The gauge stays at 1/8, the engine runs perfectly, and every 100 miles I notice something new growing in my fuel tanks. Metal corrosion patterns that look like veins, biological deposits that pulse when the engine draws fuel, sounds coming from the tanks that resemble breathing. My name is Victor Petrov, 51 years old, 30 years driving commercial trucks, and I'm starting to understand that the fuel I'm burning isn't diesel anymore. It's something else, something feeding on my truck and maybe on me, sustaining itself by consuming what it's supposed to power. The station appeared on Highway 95 in Idaho, middle of nowhere, at 1:23 a.m. on November 11th, 2023. I'd been watching my fuel gauge drop for the last hour, searching for stations that were all mysteriously closed or out of service. When I saw the lights, harsh fluorescent white cutting through the darkness, I pulled in without hesitation. The place looked old, pumps from the 80s, a small building with bars on the windows. But it had diesel, and I needed fuel. The attendant emerged from the building as I parked by the pump. Older man, maybe 70, wearing coveralls that might have been blue once but were now stained black. He approached my window, and that's when I should have noticed his reflection was missing from the building's window behind him. Should have seen that warning. But I was focused on fuel, on making my delivery deadline. "Fill her up?" he asked. His voice sounded wet, like he was speaking through fluid. "Yeah, both tanks, diesel." He nodded, walked to my tanks, began filling. I watched the pump display. Numbers climbing, gallons adding up. 40 gallons, 80, 100. My tanks should have been full around 120 gallons, but he kept pumping. 150, 180. The tanks should have been overflowing, but they weren't. Just kept accepting fuel like they'd become bottomless. He finally stopped at 203 gallons. Came back to my window. $203 even. I paid cash. Noticed his hands were cold when he took the bills. Cold and slightly damp, like something that had been refrigerated. He pocketed the money without counting, walked back into the building. I started my engine, pulled away from the station, continued north on Highway 95. That's when I noticed the gauge. It read 1/8 of a tank. But I'd just filled completely, watched him pump 200 gallons into tanks that should only hold 120. The gauge should show full, instead it showed nearly empty. And as I drove, it didn't move. 50 miles, 1/8. 75 miles, 1/8. 100 miles, still 1/8. I should have been empty by then, should have burned through my 1/8 remaining. But the gauge held steady and the engine ran smoothly, no fuel warnings, no performance issues. Like I had infinite diesel somehow. The smell started around mile 150. Faint at first, just a metallic tang mixing with normal exhaust fumes, but it intensified. Copper, rust, something organic and rotten underneath. Coming from my exhaust, coming from my fuel tanks. I could smell it in the cab, could taste it in the air. I pulled over at a rest area, checked my fuel tanks, opened the access caps, shined my flashlight inside. The diesel looked wrong. Too thick, too dark. Normal diesel is amber, translucent. This was nearly black with red threads running through it, patterns that looked disturbingly biological. And as I watched, the surface moved. Not ripples from wind, actual movement from below like something was swimming in my fuel tanks. I slammed the caps closed, backed away from my truck. This wasn't diesel anymore. This was something else, something alive, something the attendant had pumped into my tanks. But my engine ran on it perfectly, burned it without complaint, extracted energy from it, kept my truck moving. I called my mechanic, described the situation. He said to dump the tanks immediately, flush the system, fill with clean diesel. I agreed, drove to the nearest truck stop with maintenance services. They drained my tanks, removed 80 gallons of the strange fuel, stored it in containers for disposal. Flushed my fuel system, replaced filters filled with fresh diesel from their pumps. My gauge read full. Clean fuel, proper color, normal smell. I drove away from that truck stop and within 10 miles my gauge dropped back to 1/8. The fresh diesel had vanished somehow, replaced by the strange fuel again. And when I checked my tanks at the next stop, the black liquid with red threads had returned. Like it had never left. Like it couldn't be removed. I tried 3 more times. Different mechanics, different truck stops, different states. Every time they'd drain the strange fuel, fill with clean diesel, and within miles the contamination returned. The black liquid with biological patterns, the copper smell, the 1/8 gauge reading that never changed. By the 5th attempt, I gave up, accepted that whatever was in my tanks was permanent. The fuel station in Idaho had cursed me somehow, filled my truck with something that couldn't be removed, something that sustained itself indefinitely. I had infinite fuel, but at what cost? The sound started around week 3. Metallic groaning from inside my fuel tanks, rhythmic and slow. Like breathing. Like something alive had taken residence in those tanks and was expanding, contracting, living. I'd press my ear against the tank wall and hear it clearly. Inhalation. Exhalation. A wet biological sound that shouldn't exist in steel containers full of diesel. Week 5. I noticed the growth. Opened the fuel caps to check. Saw something coating the inside of the tanks. Metallic deposits forming patterns that looked like blood vessels. Branching structures that carried fuel through the contaminated system. The deposits pulsed when the engine drew fuel, transmitted pressure like arteries. My fuel system was becoming organic. I took samples to a lab. They couldn't identify what it was. Not biological, the technician said, but not purely chemical either. It's like metal-organic compounds, structures that combine properties of living tissue and inorganic materials. I've never seen anything like this. Where did you get this fuel? A station in Idaho, Highway 95. What station? I need coordinates. I gave him the location. He searched, found nothing. No station existed at those coordinates, not currently, not historically. The fuel station had been phantom, or existed outside normal geography, or appeared only to certain drivers at certain times. Week 7, my truck started changing. The engine ran smoother, more efficiently. My fuel economy should have been terrible with the contaminated fuel, but instead it improved. I was getting impossible mileage far beyond manufacturer specifications. Like the fuel wasn't just powering my engine, it was optimizing it, improving it, transforming it. My mechanic noticed the changes when I brought my truck in for routine service. "Victor, your engine looks different. The metal is smoother, almost polished. Your injectors are cleaner than new. I don't understand. Engines accumulate carbon, wear down over time. Yours is doing the opposite. It's regenerating. Is that bad? I don't know. It's impossible, so I can't categorize it as good or bad. Your truck is supposed to have 400,000 miles. But looking at this engine, I'd say it has maybe 50,000. Components are reversing aging somehow. The fuel was doing it. The strange black liquid with red threads. The metal organic contamination living in my tanks. It was feeding my engine in ways that went beyond normal combustion. It was repairing, regenerating, transforming my truck into something better than factory new. But there was a cost. I felt it in month 3. Fatigue that wouldn't go away no matter how much I slept. Headaches that came and went. Weird sensations in my lungs, like breathing was harder, like air wasn't quite sufficient anymore. I went to a doctor, got checked. He found nothing wrong, but he looked concerned. "Your blood oxygen is fine," he said, "but your blood chemistry is slightly off. Trace metals that shouldn't be there. Copper mostly. Iron compounds that don't match normal human biology. Have you been exposed to industrial chemicals?" "I'm a trucker. I'm around diesel fumes all day." "This is different. These compounds are complex, almost like... I don't want to alarm you, but they resemble the metallic compounds found in some industrial accidents, where workers were exposed to exotic materials that integrated into their systems. I want to run more tests." The tests showed the same contamination that was in my fuel tanks. Metal organic compounds in my blood, in my lungs, in my tissue. The fuel I was burning was getting into me somehow. Fumes maybe, or vapor, or something more direct. The substance living in my tanks was spreading, colonizing, integrating itself into my biological systems the same way it had integrated into my truck's mechanical systems. I'm writing this at month 5. My truck runs perfectly, never needs fuel, never shows signs of aging. The gauge stays at 1/8. The engine purrs. The strange black liquid sustains everything. But I'm changing. I can feel it. My breathing sounds wet sometimes, like the attendant's voice. My skin feels cold, like refrigerated meat. When I look in mirrors at certain angles and certain lights, my reflection sometimes lags, moves slightly after I move, like it's out of sync. I'm becoming like the fuel. Or the fuel is becoming like me. We're merging, integrating, transforming into something that's neither purely mechanical nor purely biological. I'm the hybrid now, the bridge between truck and fuel, between metal and tissue. The attendant knew this would happen. The station that doesn't exist on maps was specifically for this purpose, to distribute the fuel, to find drivers who'd accept it, to create hybrids that can sustain themselves indefinitely. I don't need to eat as much anymore, don't need water as frequently. The fuel is feeding me too, providing energy in ways normal metabolism can't. I tried going back to that station to find answers or demand reversal. Drove Highway 95 a dozen times, searched the exact location, never found it. The station appears only once per driver, dispenses its fuel once, then vanishes. You can't return, you can't undo the transaction. Other drivers have noticed. They see my truck running too well, see me driving too long without fuel stops. At truck stops, they avoid me. One driver crossed himself when I walked past like I was something unholy. Maybe I am. Maybe accepting that fuel, burning it, letting it integrate into my systems made me something outside normal categories of existence. But I don't stop. Can't stop. The fuel requires motion, requires burning, requires my truck to keep moving. If I park for too long, more than a few hours, the breathing in the tanks becomes labored and I feel suffocation starting in my own lungs. The fuel and I are synchronized now. What keeps it alive keeps me alive. We're bound together in symbiosis that demands constant travel. So I drive, endless routes, no destination, just movement. My gauge stays at 1/8, my engine runs forever, and I'm slowly becoming something else, part driver, part truck, part fuel, part something that has no name because it's never existed before. The attendant's gift was eternal fuel, but the cost was my humanity. I'm paying that cost 1 mile at a time, transforming with every gallon burned. If you see a truck that never stops for fuel, a driver who smells like copper and exhaust, a rig that runs too smoothly for its age, keep your distance. We're the fuel-cursed, the hybrids, the drivers who accepted the impossible gift and paid with our lives. We'll drive forever because we can't stop, can't die, can't be anything except motion and fuel and endless highway. My name is Victor Petrov. I burned the wrong fuel, and now it's burning me slowly, completely, forever. Story 5. The exit that moves. Exit 215 moved 3 miles west between my first pass and my second attempt. And by the third time I searched for it, the exit number had changed to 218, even though the same gas station and diner were visible at the end of the ramp. I'd been trying to reach that exit for 6 hours, driving I-80 back and forth across the same stretch of Wyoming, watching the exit shift positions, change numbers, rearrange itself like reality was being edited in real time. My GPS showed the exit clearly, but every time I approached where it should be, I found empty highway. Then I'd see it in my rearview mirror 3 miles, behind where it had been, mocking me with its instability. My name is Catherine Walsh, 42 years old, 16 years in long-haul trucking, and I was chasing an exit that existed but refused to be reached. Learning that some destinations require more than navigation. They require permission from the road itself. The exit first appeared at 9:34 a.m. on March 3, 2023. I was westbound on I-80, halfway between Cheyenne and Rawlins, running on fumes after missing the previous fuel stop. My gauge showed empty, my low fuel warning was chiming, and I was praying to reach any station before my engine died. That's when I saw exit 215 signed clear and bright. Fuel, food, lodging, next right. Perfect. I needed all three. Put on my turn signal, started easing toward the right lane, but as I approached where the exit ramp should begin, there was nothing. Just continuous highway, no ramp, no exit. I passed where exit 215 should have been, confused, checked my rearview mirror. Exit 215 was behind me now, clearly visible, sign perfect, ramp curving off the highway. But I'd just driven past that spot and nothing had been there. I hit my brakes, slowing, trying to understand. Watched the exit in my mirror. It was definitely real, definitely present. But I'd somehow missed it despite driving directly through where it should be. I took the next turnaround, backtracked eastbound, planning to approach exit 215 from the opposite direction. Maybe I'd been in the wrong lane. Maybe I'd confused the mile marker. I drove 5 miles east, turned around westbound again, watched for exit 215. My GPS showed it clearly, showed me approaching, showed the turn coming up in half a mile, quarter mile. My GPS showed the turn immediately ahead. I moved to the right lane, prepared to exit. The ramp should be visible now, should be right there. But again, nothing. Just continuous highway. I drove through where exit 215 should exist, and it didn't. Mirror check. Exit 215 was behind me again, 3 miles back, sign reflecting sunlight. Clearly present, clearly real, clearly impossible to reach. I tried 6 more times, approached from the west, from the east, at different speeds and different lanes. Every time I'd see the exit ahead or behind, but never at my actual location. It moved around me, stayed always out of reach, existing everywhere except where I was. By the third hour, my fuel gauge was beyond empty, running on vapor, engines sputtering. But somehow I kept moving. The truck refused to die despite having no fuel. That's when I noticed the other vehicles. 3 cars and a pickup truck, all driving the same stretch of highway, all seeming to make the same turns I was making, all trying to reach exit 215. I grabbed my CB handset. Any driver on I-80 trying to reach exit 215, you copy? Copy. Male voice, exhausted. I've been trying for 2 days. The exit moves. I can't reach it. 2 days? I checked my clock. I'd been trying for 3 hours, felt like I'd lived years. How are you still running? Don't you need fuel? Needed it 2 days ago. Tank should be empty, but I'm still moving. The highway won't let me stop until I reach exit 215. It keeps me running somehow, keeps me chasing. Other voices joined. Woman in a Honda, 4 hours chasing. Man in a pickup, 7 hours. Family in an SUV, 12 hours. All of us trapped on this stretch of I-80, all trying to reach an exit that moved faster than we could approach it. Why exit 215, I asked. What's there? No idea, the man who'd been trying for 2 days replied. But I need to reach it. Feel like I'll die if I don't. Like the highway won't release me until I exit properly. I felt it too. Compulsion pulling me toward exit 215, not physical but psychological. Deep certainty that I needed to reach that exit, needed to use that gas station and diner, needed to complete whatever transaction waited there. The highway had claimed us, and exit 215 was the toll booth. I tried stopping, pulled onto the shoulder, put my truck in park, shut off the engine. Sat for 30 seconds, then my engine restarted itself. My truck pulled back onto the highway without my input, accelerating to cruising speed, continuing westbound toward where exit 215 should be. I wasn't driving anymore. The road was driving for me, keeping me in motion, keeping me chasing. It won't let you stop, the 2-day voice confirmed. I tried sleeping. The truck drove itself, tried getting out. The doors wouldn't unlock. We're prisoners now, chasing an exit we can't reach, burning fuel that doesn't exist, living time that doesn't count. Time that doesn't count? I checked my phone. Still 9:34 a.m. Impossible, I'd been chasing for 3 hours. But my clock insisted only minutes had passed, or time was looping, or frozen, or something else that defied normal chronology. The family in the SUV found something. Exit 215 isn't moving randomly, the mother said over CB. It's moving according to pattern. Every time we approach, it shifts exactly 3.2 miles, always the same distance. And the number changes, 215, then 218, then 221, incrementing by 3 each shift. It's counting something. Counting what? I asked. Approaches maybe, or failures, or us. 9 vehicles trapped now. If you count the semi that joined an hour ago, we're at 9, 3 times 3. Exit 215 became 218, became 221. 3, 6, 9, pattern of 3s. She was right. I'd approached exit 215 6 times. The exit had shifted twice. Now it showed as exit 221. If the pattern continued after 3 more approaches, it would shift again, become exit 224. The exit was counting our attempts, incrementing itself, moving further away with each failure. We need to reach it before it shifts again, I said. Before it counts too high and becomes unreachable. We coordinated. 9 vehicles, all approaching exit 221 simultaneously from different directions. 3 westbound, 3 eastbound, 3 from turnarounds. If the exit could only move in one direction at a time, maybe we could trap it, force it to be present for at least one of us. We synchronized our approach, all timing our arrival for the same moment. I drove westbound, watching my GPS, counting down. 1 mile to exit 221, I announced. Others confirmed similar distances we were converging. Half mile, quarter mile. Exit should be visible now. Nothing. All 9 of us reported empty highway. Exit 221 had vanished completely, not just moved. The sign was gone, the ramp was gone, the gas station and diner weren't visible anywhere. By coordinating, by trying to trap the exit, we'd caused it to disappear entirely. My CB erupted with panic. The 2-day driver was crying, the family was arguing, everyone understood what had happened. The exit was gone because we'd tried to force it. We'd violated some rule, some requirement, and now the exit had withdrawn completely. My GPS still showed it. Exit 221, clearly marked right where we were. But reality disagreed. The exit existed in data but not in space. We'd broken the pattern and the highway punished us by removing the destination entirely. I drove for another hour in despair. Fuel gauge beyond empty, running on impossible vapor. Time frozen at 9:34 a.m., exit 221 nowhere visible. Other drivers fell silent, gave up, just drove endlessly because the highway wouldn't let us stop. Then I saw her. Woman standing on the shoulder, thumb out, hitchhiking. Wearing a gas station uniform with a name tag. Exit 221, staff, Sarah. She was the exit. Or represented it, or was sent by it. I slowed, pulled onto the shoulder. My truck allowed it this time, let me stop next to her. She climbed into my passenger seat without asking. You need to understand the rule, she said. Exit 221 isn't a place, it's a test. The highway tests drivers, measures their patience, their persistence, their willingness to follow patterns. You failed by trying to force the exit. It doesn't respond to force, it responds to surrender. How do we reach it? Stop trying. Drive past where it should be without attempting to exit. Accept that you can't reach it. Once you surrender, once you acknowledge the exit's control, it will allow you to arrive, but you have to mean it. You have to truly give up. She climbed out, walked into the desert, vanished. I sat processing her words. The highway wanted surrender, wanted us to accept we couldn't reach exit 221, couldn't force our way to fuel and food and rest. Only by giving up would we be allowed to succeed. I got on the CB, shared what Sarah had said. Skepticism answered. How could giving up lead to success? But we were out of options. 9 vehicles trapped in impossible loop, chasing an exit that counted our failures. Surrender was the only attempt we hadn't tried. We agreed to drive westbound one more time, and when we reached where exit 221 should be, we wouldn't try to exit. Wouldn't slow, wouldn't signal, wouldn't acknowledge the exit's presence. We'd drive past like it didn't matter, like we'd given up entirely. We approached together. I saw the sign ahead. Exit 221, fuel, food, lodging. Felt the pull, the compulsion to try exiting. Resisted. Kept my speed steady, stayed in the left lane, drove past the exit without attempting to use it. Let it slip behind me, watched it disappear in my mirrors. My truck shuddered. Reality folded. Suddenly I was on the exit ramp, coasting down toward the gas station, having exited without choosing to exit. The highway had moved me, transferred me from the main road to the ramp because I'd surrendered, because I'd driven past without trying. Other vehicles appeared around me, all 9 of us on the same exit ramp, all successfully transferred because we'd given up. We parked at the gas station, climbed out, stood in genuine sunlight for the first time in hours. My clock showed 9:37 a.m. 3 minutes had passed, not the 6 hours I'd experienced. The highway existed outside time, trapped us in a loop measured in attempts rather than minutes. Released us only when we surrendered. I filled my tank with real diesel, bought real coffee, ate real food. Everything felt more vivid, more present, like I'd been experiencing shadow reality for hours and finally returned to substance. The other drivers looked shell-shocked, exhausted, grateful. "Don't try to force the highway," Sarah said from behind the gas station counter. She'd appeared there somehow, working register, same uniform. Accept where it takes you. Surrender to the route. That's the lesson of Exit 221. Every driver needs to learn it eventually. I returned to I-80, continued westbound, reached my destination without further incident. But I remember Exit 221 and the hours I spent chasing it. Remember the lesson: some destinations can't be forced, can't be navigated through determination alone. Sometimes the highway demands surrender, demands you accept its control, demands you stop trying to reach what you need and simply trust that you'll arrive when you're ready. I've driven I-80 100 times since. Never seen Exit 221 again. It doesn't appear for drivers who've learned the lesson. It only manifests for those who still believe they control the road, who still think navigation is about choice rather than surrender. And sometimes late at night I see other vehicles trapped in that stretch of Wyoming, driving endlessly back and forth, chasing exits that move, learning what I learned. The highway owns you until you admit it. Story 6. The CB that broadcasts tomorrow. The CB in my truck receives transmissions from 24 hours in the future, and I've been listening to my own accident for 3 days, hearing myself call for help after a rollover that hasn't happened yet. Every night at exactly 11:47 p.m., my voice comes through Channel 19, screaming about brake failure at mile marker 394 on I-70, describing injuries I don't have yet, begging for emergency response to an accident I haven't experienced. It's detailed, specific, terrifying, and it's been getting worse each time. First night I heard 10 seconds before static consumed the transmission. Second night, 30 seconds. Last night, 2 full minutes of myself dying in a cab crushed against a guardrail. Tonight is the 4th night, and tonight I'm supposed to actually reach mile marker 394 at 11:47 p.m. My name is James Holloway, 53 years old, 28 years driving commercial trucks, and I'm about to discover whether hearing your own death in advance gives you the power to prevent it, or just makes you a prisoner of predetermined fate. The transmission started on October 14, 2023. I was hauling electronics from Denver to Baltimore, taking I-70 through Colorado. Standard route, good weather, no issues. At 11:47 p.m. exactly, my CB crackled to life. Emergency at mile marker 394, eastbound I-70, truck rolled, driver trapped. Static consumed the rest, but the voice had been mine. Same tone, same slight hoarseness from years of road dust, same way I pronounced marker with a flattened R. It was my voice calling for help. I checked my location, mile marker 201. I wouldn't reach 394 for 3 more hours at current speed, but the transmission had said 394, had said rollover, had said trapped. Future me was in an accident that present me hadn't reached yet. I changed channels, tried to clear interference, switched back to channel 19 at 11:48 p.m. Nothing. Just standard chatter, truckers discussing weather and routes. The transmission had been exactly 1 minute long, 11:47 to 11:48, then vanished. I should have dismissed it. Should have assumed I'd misheard, or picked up a distant transmission, or experienced equipment malfunction. But it had been my voice, unmistakably, and it had been terrified. I drove carefully for the rest of the night, reached mile marker 394 around 2:30 a.m. Normal highway, slight curve, guardrail on the right, nothing dangerous. No reason for an accident. I passed it without incident, continued to Baltimore, delivered my load. But the next night, October 15th at exactly 11:47 p.m., my CB transmitted again. Emergency at mile marker 394, eastbound I-70, truck rolled, driver trapped, brake failure approaching curve, couldn't slow down, hit guardrail at 73 miles per hour, cab crushed, can't feel my legs, please. Static. 30 seconds that time, more detail. Brake failure, 73 miles per hour, can't feel legs. My voice more panicked, more injured, describing an accident that was more specific, more real, more horrible. I was in Kansas, completely different state, different route, nowhere near I-70 or mile marker 394. But the transmission found me anyway, broadcast from 24 hours in the future, warning me about an accident I was destined to have tomorrow night. I checked my schedule. Tomorrow, October 16th, I had a load. Denver to Baltimore. Same route as 3 nights ago. I'd be on I-70 eastbound, and if I maintained normal speed, I'd reach mile marker 394 around 11:47 p.m. Exactly when my future self transmitted the emergency call, I canceled the load, called my dispatcher, claimed truck trouble, said I needed maintenance, took the day off, stayed parked at a truck stop in Kansas, far from I-70, far from mile marker 394. If I wasn't on that highway, I couldn't have the accident. Simple. October 16th, 11:47 p.m. I was sitting in my cab, parked safely, watching the clock, waiting to see if the transmission would come. My CB crackled. Emergency at mile marker 394, eastbound I-70. Truck rolled, driver trapped, brake failure approaching curve, couldn't slow down. Hit guardrail at 73 miles per hour. Cab crushed, can't feel my legs. Compound fracture left arm, bleeding from head wound. Please send ambulance, please, I don't want to die here, I don't... Static. 2 minutes. Full description. Injuries detailed. My voice, absolutely certain this was happening, absolutely experiencing the accident. But I was in Kansas, parked safely. I hadn't been on I-70, hadn't gone near mile marker 394. The accident hadn't happened. Yet the transmission insisted it had, or would, or was happening in some timeline I hadn't entered yet. The CB was receiving from a future that didn't match my present, broadcasting from a version of October 16th where I'd taken the load, driven I-70, reached mile marker 394, experienced brake failure, rolled my truck. I checked my brakes the next morning, had a mechanic inspect them thoroughly. They were perfect. No issues, no warning signs, no reason they'd fail. But the transmission had been specific, brake failure. So I had the mechanic replace everything anyway. New brake pads, new rotors, new calipers, completely fresh system. No way my brakes could fail now. October 17th, I took a new load. Different route, avoiding I-70 entirely. Drove I-80 through Nebraska. At 11:47 p.m., my CB transmitted, emergency at mile marker 394, eastbound I-70. Same message, same accident. Despite being on I-80 in Nebraska, despite having new brakes, despite avoiding the route entirely. The transmission persisted, broadcasting from a future that demanded I have the accident regardless of my present choices. I started researching. Found forums about CB radio anomalies, about truckers receiving transmissions from wrong times or wrong places. Found one post from 3 years ago, driver describing exactly what I was experiencing. CB broadcasts from the future always, showing the same accident, always counting down to the moment it happens. The post ended. Tonight's the night. I'm at mile marker 394 now, it's 11:43 p.m. I can feel my brakes getting soft. I think it's really going to happen. If anyone reads this, tell my family I tried to avoid it. But some futures can't be changed. They're already true, already happened, already waiting for us to arrive. The post was time-stamped October 16th, 3 years ago. I searched for the driver's name, found an accident report. Truck rollover, mile marker 394, eastbound I-70, October 16th at 11:47 p.m. Driver killed. Cause, brake failure. He'd heard his own death, tried to avoid it, failed. The future had claimed him anyway. And now it was claiming me. Same mile marker, same time, same failure. The CB was broadcasting my death, and every night I listened, I heard more details, learned more about how I'd die. Tonight is October 18th. I'm driving I-70 eastbound, hauling the same load I canceled before. I rescheduled it, accepted that I can't avoid this route forever. I'm at mile marker 394 miles from 394. It's 9:52 p.m. I have 1 hour and 55 minutes until 11:47. My brakes feel fine. I've tested them 20 times tonight. They respond perfectly. But I know what's coming. I've heard it 4 times now. Brake failure, 73 miles per hour, guardrail, rollover, crushed cab, compound fracture, head wound. I've heard myself die in progressively more detail each night. The CB crackles. It's only 9:53 p.m., not 11:47, but my voice comes through anyway. James, I know you're listening. This is you calling from after. After the accident, after the death, after everything, the CB isn't broadcasting from tomorrow. It's broadcasting from the loop. You're going to have the accident at 11:47. You're going to die, and then you're going to live October 18th again, and again, and again. Each time you'll hear the broadcasts earlier. Each time you'll try to avoid mile marker 394. Each time you'll fail. Because you're already in the loop. You've been in it for longer than you remember. This isn't your 4th night hearing the broadcast. It's your 100th, your 1,000th. You just don't remember the previous loops because each reset erases your memory of dying. But I remember. The version of you that exists in the loop remembers. And I'm trying to tell you. There's no escape. Mile marker 394 is inevitable. You'll reach it, your brakes will fail, you'll roll, you'll die, and you'll wake up on October 14th hearing the first transmission again. The loop is forever, James. You're stuck in 4 days, October 14th through 18th. Living them eternally, dying at the end, resetting to the beginning. I'm sorry. I tried to escape too, we all do, but the CB just broadcasts earlier each loop, giving us more warning that never helps. Stop fighting. Accept it. Maybe acceptance will break the loop. Maybe. Static consumes the transmission. I sit shaking, trying to process. If that was true, if I'm in a loop, living these 4 days repeatedly, dying each time, resetting each time. How many times have I done this? How many October 18ths have I experienced, each ending at mile marker 394? I check my logbook, October 14th through 18th. But the dates before are blurry, hard to read, like they're old or faded. And I can't remember what I was doing before October 14th. The memories are there, vague and distant but not accessible. Like everything before the first CB transmission has been erased, mile marker 350 getting closer. It's 10:34 p.m. now. I could stop, could pull over, refuse to continue, but I know what happens. I've heard it. If I stop, the truck drives itself. If I try to exit, the highway loops me back. The loop requires I reach mile marker 394 at 11:47 p.m. Reality itself enforces it. My brakes feel softer now. Pressing the pedal, I notice the response is slightly mushy. By mile marker 370, they're definitely weakening. By 380, I'm pressing harder to maintain control. The brake failure is beginning exactly as I've heard it described, exactly as the future broadcasts promised. Mile marker 390, 11:44 p.m. 3 minutes until the accident. My brakes barely respond now. I'm doing 73 miles per hour, the exact speed from the transmissions, approaching the curve, approaching the guardrail, approaching my death. I grab my CB handset, key the mic, record my own message broadcasting backward to myself on October 14th. James, you're in a loop. October 14th through 18th, repeating forever. You die at mile marker 394, I'm dying now. But maybe if you hear this early enough, maybe if we figure out why the loop exists, we can... The curve appears. My brakes are gone. I'm going 73. The guardrail rushes at me. I turn the wheel trying to avoid it, but momentum is too great. My truck hits the rail, breaches it, rolls over the edge. The cab crushes against rock. I feel my left arm snap, feel my head hit the window, feel everything going wrong exactly as I've heard it described 4 nights in a row. My CB is still transmitting. I'm still holding the mic. I speak my last message. Emergency at mile marker 394, eastbound I-70, truck rolled, driver trapped, and I'm in my truck on October 14th. It's 11:47 p.m. My CB crackles. My voice comes through. Emergency at mile marker 394, eastbound I-70, truck rolled, driver trapped. 10 seconds, then static. The loop resets. I don't remember dying, don't remember the previous iteration. But somewhere deep in my mind, I know I've done this before. We'll do it again. We'll keep living October 14th through 18th, keep hearing my own death broadcast earlier each loop, keep dying at mile marker 394 at 11:47 p.m. If you're driving I-70 and hear emergency broadcasts from your own voice, you're in the loop, too. You're living days that repeat, dying at the end, resetting to the beginning. The CB shows you the future, but the future can't be changed. You'll reach your mile marker 394. You'll experience your accident, and you'll loop forever, broadcasting warnings to yourself that never help. The CB doesn't lie. It just shows what's already true. Story 7. The truck stop with one customer. Every vehicle in the parking lot is mine. 14 identical trucks, same company logos, same unit numbers, same dent in the driver's door from a loading dock accident last April. They're parked in perfect rows, all angled the same direction, all empty, all me. The truck stop is open, lights on, coffee fresh, but there's no staff. Just me walking between my own trucks, seeing evidence that I've stopped here 14 times before, even though I have no memory of any previous visits. The receipt printer shows transactions from my credit card, dated in the future, showing I'll return 12 more times after today. My name is Howard Chen, 56 years old, 32 years in trucking, and I'm the only customer this truck stop has ever served. Past, present, and future all stopping here simultaneously, leaving evidence of visits I haven't made yet and can't remember making before. I pulled into the Last Chance Travel Plaza at 4:23 a.m. on December 1st, 2023, needing coffee and bathroom facilities. The place was standard from the highway. Parking lot, main building, fuel pumps. But when I pulled in, I saw the trucks, all mine. Same Kenworth T680, same Davidson Transport logos, same scratches and modifications. 14 versions of my truck parked like they were waiting for me. I parked in the only open space, got out, approached the nearest other truck, peered through the window. Interior identical to mine, same seat cover I'd installed myself, same family photo on the dash, same logbook with my handwriting visible on the open page. I tried the door. Locked. Walked to the next truck. Same. All 14 trucks were locked, occupied by nothing, exact replicas of my vehicle. The main building was unlocked, lights on, but empty. No cashier, no other customers, no staff. The coffee was fresh, steam rising from the pot. Donuts on display looked hours old, but not days. Someone had been here recently enough to make coffee. But no one was here now. I poured coffee, left money on the counter. That's when I saw the receipt printer. It was running, printing transaction after transaction. I watched dozens of receipts emerge, all showing purchases from my credit card, all dated December 1st, 2023, but the timestamps varied. Some showed 4:23 a.m. now, others showed 7:15 a.m. 3 hours from now. Others showed dates I couldn't read, smudged or faded or printed in ink that wasn't fully formed yet. I grabbed the receipts, sorted through them. 26 transactions total. 14 showed times in the past, 3:45 a.m., 3:52 a.m., 4:01 a.m., and so on. 12 showed times in the future, 5:33 a.m., 6:47 a.m., 8:12 a.m., and onward, all from my card, all showing similar purchases, coffee, snacks, diesel, all at this truck stop, all on December 1st. I was seeing evidence of 26 visits to the Last Chance Travel Plaza, all happening today, all by me. I was customer 1 through 26, arriving at different times, existing simultaneously in this place that somehow collected every instance of me stopping here. I walked back outside, counted the trucks again. 14. If 26 receipts existed, where were the other 12 trucks? I checked the lot carefully. Empty spaces, but not empty. I could see faint outlines, ghostly impressions of trucks that weren't quite there. Translucent, like vehicles from the future hadn't fully materialized yet. I watched one of the ghost trucks. As I stared, it became more solid. Slowly, over 5 minutes, it transitioned from transparent outline to full presence. And the truck that appeared was mine, same as the others. Empty, locked, identical. Time was wrong here. The Last Chance Travel Plaza existed at multiple points simultaneously, collecting all my visits from across December 1st. I'd stopped here before, 14 times before according to the fully materialized trucks, and I'd stopped 12 more times today, according to the ghost trucks and future receipts. But I couldn't remember any previous stops. This felt like my first visit, which meant either my memory was being erased each time I left, or I was experiencing this loop from inside, unaware that I was repeating the same stop over and over throughout the day. I checked my logbook. Entries for December 1st showed I'd been driving continuously since midnight, making good time on I-80 eastbound. No stops listed, no gaps where a truck stop visit would fit. But the receipts insisted I'd stopped 14 times already. Reality disagreed with documentation. My phone rang. Dispatcher. Chen, why are you stopped? You should be making Oklahoma City by 6 a.m. What's the delay? Just a quick stop, coffee and bathroom. Your GPS shows you stopped at 3:45 a.m. It's been 40 minutes, that's not quick. It's 4:23 a.m. I just got here. Howard, your GPS timestamp shows you've been stopped since 3:45. That's 40 minutes ago. And before that, you stopped at 3:52 and before that at 4:01. You've stopped 3 times in the last hour at the same location. What's going on? That's impossible. I've been driving continuously. Your GPS disagrees. Fix whatever's wrong and get moving. You're burning daylight. He hung up. I checked my truck's GPS log. He was right. The system showed multiple stops at this location: 3:45 a.m., 3:52 a.m., 4:01 a.m., 4:09 a.m., 4:16 a.m., 4:23 a.m. 6 stops in 38 minutes, each lasting about 7 minutes. But I'd only experienced one stop, the current one, at 4:23. The other 5 had happened without my knowledge, without my memory. I was looping, living the same truck stop visit repeatedly, each iteration lasting about 7 minutes, then resetting. But something was persisting across loops, the trucks, the receipts, the GPS records. Evidence accumulated even though my memory reset. I needed to test this. I took a marker from my truck, wrote on the bathroom mirror, Howard was here at 4:23 a.m. This is real. Dated and signed it. Went back to my truck, sat down, waited. Time skipped. One moment I was sitting in my cab at 4:23 a.m. Next moment I was walking into the truck stop building at 4:30 a.m. 7 minutes had passed instantly, no memory of them. I checked the bathroom mirror. My message was there, dated 4:23 a.m., 7 minutes ago. Proof that I'd written it, proof that the loop had reset. I wrote a second message beneath the first. Howard was here at 4:30 a.m. This is the second loop. Returned to my truck. Time skipped again. Suddenly I was pouring coffee at 4:37 a.m. Checked the mirror, 2 messages, 4:23 and 4:30. Now I wrote a third, 4:37 a.m., third loop. How do I escape? The messages accumulated. By what felt like my 6th loop but was actually my 20th according to the timestamps, the mirror was covered in my handwriting. 20 messages, each 7 minutes apart, each version of me trying to communicate with the next, trying to find escape. The 21st message, written by me at 5:14 a.m., said something that chilled me. Howard, this isn't a loop. This is the stop. The Last Chance Travel Plaza is where you spend December 1st. All of it. You'll stop here 26 times throughout the day. Each visit lasting 7 minutes, each separated by driving segments you won't remember. You're not escaping. You're fulfilling the pattern. I read the message 3 times. If it was true, I wasn't trapped in a 7-minute loop. I was experiencing a normal day, but with 26 truck stop visits inserted, each one feeling like the first because my memory reset between them. The driving continued normally. The deliveries happened. The day progressed. But every 30 minutes or so, I'd find myself pulled back to the Last Chance Travel Plaza for another 7-minute stop. Message 22 at 5:21 a.m. I tested it, left the truck stop, drove for 23 minutes, suddenly found myself pulling into the parking lot again. The stop recurs, we can't avoid it. December 1st belongs to this place. Message 23 at 5:28 a.m. Check my delivery schedule. I'm supposed to reach Oklahoma City at 6 p.m. That's 18 hours of driving from my starting point. But if I stop here 26 times, that's 3 hours and 2 minutes of total stop time. The math doesn't work. Unless time outside the truck stop is compressing, speeding up to account for our stops here. Are we living December 1st in compressed time? I checked my own watch against the truck stop clock. My watch showed 5:35 a.m. The truck stop clock showed 4:23 a.m. Frozen. The same time I'd first arrived. Every loop, the clock reset to 4:23 a.m. But my watch continued forward, tracking real time. The discrepancy was now 1 hour and 12 minutes. I'd experienced 12 loops of 7 minutes each, 84 minutes total, plus the real time between loops. That matched. The truck stop existed outside normal time, or in compressed time. Each visit felt like 7 minutes, but might actually be much longer in external time. Or much shorter. I couldn't tell. But the accumulated effect was that December 1st would be lived in fragments, 26 7-minute chunks separated by driving I couldn't remember. Message 24, written by future me at 5:42 a.m. I'm accepting it. The Last Chance Travel Plaza is my December 1st. I'll stop here 26 times, leave 26 messages, park 26 trucks. By the end of the day, this place will be full of evidence of all my visits. And tomorrow, December 2nd, I'll drive past this location and it will be closed, abandoned, empty. Because it only exists for me, only on December 1st, only to collect my repeated visits. I'm the only customer because I'm all the customers. Message 25 at 5:49 a.m. Why 26? What's significant about that number? 26 letters in the alphabet, 26 miles in a marathon, 26 years until I retire. I can't figure out the significance. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe the number is arbitrary, chosen by whatever force creates places like this. Message 26 at 5:56 a.m. This is the last message. There are 26 receipts, 26 trucks, 26 stops. After this visit, I won't return to the Last Chance Travel Plaza. The pattern completes and I'll be released. December 1st will end normally and I'll never find this place again. Goodbye, Howard. All 26 of you. We lived December 1st together in fragments in a truck stop that only existed to collect us. I stood in the bathroom reading message 26, knowing I'd written it in the next loop, or the next version, or the future me that hadn't existed yet. Time grammar failed here. I checked my watch. 6:03 a.m. The cycle had extended. I'd been in this loop longer than 7 minutes. I walked outside. All 26 trucks were present now, including the ghost ones that had fully materialized. The parking lot was completely full of my vehicles, perfect rows, silent testament to a day spent in recursive truck stop visits. I climbed into my truck, the original one I'd arrived in, the one parked in space number 15, and started the engine. Pulled out of the last chance travel plaza for what I knew was the 26th time, even though it felt like the first. Got back on I-80 eastbound, continued toward Oklahoma City. I never saw the last chance travel plaza again. Drove I-80 hundreds of times in the following years, always watched for it, never found it. It existed only for me, only on December 1st, 2023, only to collect 26 versions of me. Stopping for coffee and bathroom breaks throughout a day that was too long and too short simultaneously. But sometimes at truck stops I've never visited before, I find evidence I've been there. Receipts from my card dated years ago. Messages in my handwriting on bathroom mirrors. Ghost trucks in the parking lot that look like mine. Like the last chance travel plaza wasn't unique. Like there are multiple truck stops scattered across America that exist only to collect recursive visits from single drivers, fragmenting our days, multiplying our presence, making us customers of ourselves. I'm Howard Chen. December 1st, 2023, I stopped at a truck stop 26 times. I left 26 messages, parked 26 trucks, bought 26 cups of coffee. I was the only customer because I was every customer. And somewhere, on some date in some year, you'll find your own recursive truck stop, your own parking lot full of your vehicles, your own bathroom mirror covered in your handwriting. When you do, don't fight it. Leave messages, count the visits. Accept that some days belong to places that collect you, that multiply you, that make you the only customer by making you every customer. Then leave and never find that place again. It's waiting for you. It's always been waiting. And when December 1st comes, or whatever date is yours, you'll stop there 26 times without remembering any of them, except the one you're experiencing right now. Story 8. The logbook that writes itself. My logbook is filling in tomorrow's entries tonight, showing routes I haven't driven and stops I haven't made. And every prediction is perfectly accurate. It started 3 days ago. Woke up to find December 5th already completed in my logs, showing a delivery in Memphis at 2:34 p.m., a fuel stop in Little Rock, a way station delay in Tennessee. I hadn't driven any of it yet. But when December 5th arrived, everything happened exactly as written. Every mile marker, every timestamp, every detail matched the pre-written entries. Now it's December 7th, and my logbook shows entries through December 14th. 8 days of my future already documented in handwriting that's mine, but that I didn't write. My name is Robert Chang, 49 years old, 24 years hauling freight. And I'm following a route that's already been decided. Living days that have already been documented, discovering that some logbooks don't record the past. They prescribe the future, and deviation from what's written isn't possible. The first time I noticed was December 4th evening. I finished my day, parked at a truck stop in Arkansas, pulled out my logbook to make my final entries, but December 5th was already filled in. Complete entries showing I'd start driving at 6:15 a.m., drive 437 miles, make 3 stops, deliver in Memphis at 2:34 p.m., continue to Nashville. All in my handwriting, dated December 5th, but I was still living December 4th. I assumed I'd made a mistake, filled in the wrong date by accident, planned to correct it in the morning. But when December 5th came, I found myself following the pre-written script exactly. Woke at 6:00 a.m. intending to leave at 6:30, but my alarm went off at 6:10 and I was on the road by 6:15. Exactly as written, drove to Memphis, arrived at 2:34 p.m. Exactly as written, every detail matched. Coincidence, I thought. I'd accurately predicted my own schedule. But that night, December 5th, I checked my logbook. December 6th was filled in, and December 7th. And 8th, 9th, 10th, continuing through December 14th. 9 days of entries, all in my handwriting, all showing routes I hadn't planned, stops I hadn't scheduled, deliveries I hadn't been assigned yet. I called my dispatcher. Did you update my schedule? I'm showing loads through December 14th. I haven't updated anything, she replied. You're currently empty, deadheading back to base. Next load isn't scheduled until December 8th. My logbook shows load starting December 6th. Your logbook is wrong. I'm looking at our system. Nothing scheduled for you tomorrow. But the next morning, December 6th, I got a call at 5:47 a.m. Emergency load, furniture from Nashville to Dallas, needed immediately. Pickup at 7:30 a.m. I checked my logbook. December 6th showed pickup Nashville, 7:30 a.m., furniture delivered Dallas. Exactly as I'd read the night before. The pre-written future was manifesting. I delivered to Dallas, checked into a motel. That night I examined my logbook carefully. The entries for December 7th through 14th remained unchanged. But now new details appeared for December 15th through 21st. The logbook was extending its predictions, always staying 1 week ahead, always showing my future in perfect detail. December 7th unfolded exactly as written. I drove routes I hadn't planned, took loads I hadn't expected, stopped at locations the logbook specified. Every timestamp matched, every mile count was precise. I wasn't making decisions anymore. I was following the script pre-written in my logbook, and reality was conforming to what had been documented. I tried deviating. December 8th, my logbook said I'd fuel at the Pilot in Amarillo at 11:23 a.m. I decided to fuel elsewhere past the Pilot without stopping. Went to a Love's 3 miles down the highway. But when I pulled up to the pump at the Love's, I checked my watch. 11:23 a.m. and I looked around. The Love's had transformed. Same layout as the Pilot, same fuel island configuration. Or I'd somehow ended up at the Pilot despite intending to go elsewhere. The logbook's prediction had been fulfilled regardless of my intention to deviate. I tried more extreme deviation. December 9th, the logbook said I'd deliver in Houston at 4:56 p.m. I decided not to deliver. Drove past the warehouse, kept going, headed toward San Antonio instead. But at 4:43 p.m. my truck turned itself. Steering wheel rotated without my input, took an exit, followed roads back to Houston. I arrived at the warehouse at 4:56 p.m. exactly as written. The logbook enforced its predictions using my truck as the mechanism of enforcement. December 10th, I tried not driving at all. Logbook said I'd start at 6 a.m. I stayed in bed, refused to get up. But at 5:55 a.m. I found myself walking to my truck with no memory of deciding to do so. Started the engine at 6 a.m. exactly, pulled onto the highway, followed the route the logbook prescribed. My body was following the script even when my mind resisted. I started reading ahead, studying December 11th through 14th carefully. Looking for anything dangerous, anything I should avoid. December 12th showed an entry that terrified me. Accident at mile marker 672 I-10 eastbound 3:47 p.m. Minor damage, no injuries, delay 45 minutes. An accident. Pre-written, scheduled. On December 12th, I'd have an accident at mile marker 672 at 3:47 p.m. The logbook documented it like it was inevitable, unavoidable. Just another entry in a predetermined day. I could try to avoid it, could refuse to drive I-10, could stop before mile marker 672, could park at 3:45 p.m. and wait for the danger to pass. But I'd tried deviating before. The logbook always won. Reality bent to match what was written. December 11th passed as written. I drove knowing tomorrow would bring the accident, knowing I couldn't prevent it, knowing the logbook had scheduled my crash 2 days ago. That night I read December 13th and 14th, looking for worse predictions. They showed normal driving, normal deliveries. The accident on the 12th was isolated, brief. Minor damage, no injuries, 45-minute delay, I'd survive. December 12th arrived. I drove I-10 eastbound, approaching mile marker 672. It was 3:42 p.m., 5 minutes until the accident. I slowed down, Dropped to 50 miles per hour, trying to delay reaching 672 until after 347. But traffic appeared behind me, aggressive drivers forcing me to speed up. I was pushed forward, unable to slow, reaching mile marker 672 at exactly 3:46 p.m. Then a tire blew. Right front sudden catastrophic failure. My truck swerved right, hit the shoulder, skidded 50 yards before stopping. Minor damage to the wheel well. I was uninjured. Checked my watch. 3:47 p.m. The accident had happened precisely as written. I called for road service, waited 43 minutes for a replacement tire. Back on the road at 4:30 p.m., 45-minute delay, as the logbook had predicted. Everything matching. That night, December 12th, I checked the logbook. December 13th and 14th remained the same, but now December 15th through 21st showed new details. And at the end, December 22nd appeared, a single entry. Final delivery last trip, end. Final delivery last trip, end. 3 phrases that sounded ominous. Terminal. Was the logbook predicting my last day driving, my retirement, my death? I couldn't tell. The entry was too vague. But it was dated December 22nd, 10 days away. Whatever end meant, I'd reach it in 10 days. I drove December 13th and 14th as written. Perfect compliance with the logbook's predictions, no deviation possible, no autonomy remaining. I was a passenger in my own life, following scripts written by a logbook that knew my future better than I did. December 15th, entries showed normal driving. 16th, 17th, 18th, all normal. Long hauls, standard deliveries, routine truck stop visits. The logbook was documenting a normal week leading toward December 22nd's mysterious end. I researched, found forums about logbooks that write themselves, truckers who'd experienced pre-written entries, predictions that manifested. Most stories ended the same way. The driver followed the logbook until it stopped writing. Some logbooks ended with retirement entries. Some ended with accident entries. Some just stopped, leaving blank pages after a certain date, and those drivers reported disappearing from records, their trucks found abandoned, no trace of the driver. My logbook was still writing. Each night new entries appeared for dates further ahead. By December 18th, the book showed entries through January 5th. The end on December 22nd remained, but life continued beyond it in the predictions. Maybe end meant something else. End of a job, end of a contract, end of a route. December 19th, I checked the logbook's entry for December 22nd again. It had expanded. Final delivery, last trip, end of cycle, begin again. Begin again. What did that mean? Was December 22nd a reset point? Would I start over somehow, repeat the cycle, live through pre-written futures indefinitely? December 20th. The logbook showed December 22nd's entry with even more detail. Final delivery, Nashville warehouse, 4:56 p.m., last trip complete. End of cycle, begin again at origin. Return to December 4th. Return to December 4th. The day the logbook started pre-writing, the logbook was predicting a loop. On December 22nd, I'd complete a delivery and then I'd somehow return to December 4th, restart the cycle, live through the same 18 days again with pre-written entries guiding me. I was trapped in a temporal loop documented by a logbook that prescribed the future. I'd lived December 4th through 22nd repeatedly, following the same routes, making the same deliveries, having the same accident, reaching the same end, then resetting to the beginning. December 21st arrived. Tomorrow was the end. Tomorrow I'd deliver in Nashville, reach 4:56 p.m., experience whatever end of cycle meant, and return to December 4th. The logbook showed it clearly. I had no choice but to follow. December 22nd. I drove to Nashville with my final load, arrived at the warehouse at 4:50 p.m., backed into the dock, waited for unloading, watched the clock. 4:55 p.m., 1 minute until the end. I didn't know what would happen, didn't know if I'd cease to exist or reset or transform into something else. 4:56 p.m. The dock worker signed my delivery receipt. I felt reality shudder. Time folded, and suddenly I was parked at a truck stop in Arkansas, December 4th evening, holding my logbook, looking at pre-written entries for December 5th. The loop had reset. I was back at the beginning, reliving the cycle, but I remembered. Unlike normal loops where memory erases, I retained everything. I knew what was coming. Knew the accident on the 12th, knew the end on the 22nd, knew I'd live these 18 days again and again forever. I checked the logbook. December 5th through 22nd were filled in, identical to the first cycle. And beyond December 22nd, new entries appeared. December 23rd through January 9th, showing a second cycle beginning, showing me continuing to drive after the reset, following new pre-written routes that I'd experience as the loop repeated. The logbook wasn't just predicting my future, it was creating an infinite future, loops within loops, cycles of cycles extending forever. I'd drive December 4th through 22nd eternally, each cycle slightly different, each documented in advance, each ending with "begin again." If you find a logbook that fills itself in, that shows tomorrow's entries tonight, don't follow it. Burn it, destroy it, throw it away. Because once you start following the pre-written script, you can't stop. The logbook owns your future, dictates your routes, enforces compliance, and eventually it will loop you, trap you in cycles that repeat forever, documented in handwriting that's yours, but that you'll never remember writing. I'm Robert Chang. I'm on my 47th cycle through December 4th through 22nd. I've driven these routes 47 times, had the same accident 47 times, delivered in Nashville at 4:56 p.m. 47 times. The logbook keeps writing, keeps extending, keeps trapping me in pre-documented futures. And somewhere, on some road, your logbook is filling itself in. Tomorrow's entries appearing tonight. Don't follow them. Break the cycle before it loops you. Before you become like me, a driver following scripts written by the road itself, living futures that have already been decided, trapped in logbooks that prescribe eternity. Story 9. The delivery address that doesn't exist yet. The GPS coordinates for my delivery lead to an empty field in Montana. But my manifest insists I'm delivering 42 wooden crates to a warehouse at those exact coordinates, and the warehouse phone number connects to someone who answers in the future tense. You will arrive at 3:47 p.m. tomorrow. You will unload dock 7. You will be paid on completion. They describe the warehouse in detail, give me dock assignments, discuss my cargo like the location exists. But standing here now, there's nothing. Just grass and rocks and Montana sky. Until I notice the foundations. Fresh concrete recently poured, outlining a building that hasn't been constructed yet. And a sign, painted but not weathered. Mountain Ridge Distribution, opening March 2024. It's December 2023. My delivery is scheduled for today. I'm supposed to unload cargo at a warehouse that won't exist for 3 months. My name is Daniel Foster, 58 years old, 34 years driving trucks, and I'm about to learn that some deliveries don't go to where things are. They go to where things will be, carrying cargo across time as well as space. The load started normally. Pickup in Seattle, December 18, 2023. 42 wooden crates, each about 6 feet by 4 feet, weight totaling 28,000 pounds. Manifest listed the cargo as construction materials, destination as Mountain Ridge Distribution, Billings, Montana. Address was listed as GPS coordinates rather than street address, which was unusual but not unprecedented for rural locations. I'd driven for 2 days, reached the coordinates at 2:13 p.m. on December 20th. Expected to find a warehouse, found empty field instead. Checked the coordinates 3 times, they were correct, but nothing was here. I called the contact number from my manifest. It rang twice, then someone answered. Male voice, professional. Mountain Ridge Distribution, how may I direct your call? This is Foster, driver for Davidson Freight. I'm delivering 42 crates, but your warehouse doesn't exist. I'm at the coordinates and there's nothing here. You're early, the voice said. You will arrive at 3:47 p.m. tomorrow, December 21st. Please wait until the scheduled delivery time. I'm here now. Today is the 20th and there's no warehouse. Today for you is the 20th. Today for us is the 21st. Your delivery appointment is tomorrow at 3:47 p.m. The warehouse will be ready to receive then. How can tomorrow be today for you? That doesn't make sense. Mountain Ridge Distribution operates on advanced timeline. We receive deliveries before our physical construction completes. It's more efficient this way. Your cargo will be unloaded at Dock 7 tomorrow afternoon. Please wait until your appointment time. He hung up. I sat in my truck trying to process. The warehouse was operating on an advanced timeline, receiving deliveries before it was built. That was impossible. But my cargo was real. My manifest was real. The phone number connected to someone who described specific dock assignments. I decided to wait. Parked my truck in the empty field, set my alarm for 3:30 p.m. December 21st and tried to rest. But I couldn't stop thinking about the concrete foundations I'd seen. The fresh pours, the sign indicating the warehouse would open March 2024. At 6:47 p.m. December 20th, while I sat in my truck in the empty field, the warehouse started appearing. Not construction appearing. The building itself materializing gradually like a photograph developing. Walls formed from nothing, concrete and metal solidifying from air. Windows appeared, loading docks emerged, parking lot asphalt spread across the field. I watched a building assemble itself from the future, arriving in the present one piece at a time. By 7:15 p.m., Mountain Ridge Distribution was fully present. Complete warehouse, lights on, vehicles in the parking lot, staff visible through windows. It looked years old, weathered and established, but I'd watched it appear from nothing in 28 minutes. I got out, approached the main entrance. The door was real, solid. I opened it, stepped inside. Reception area, professional and clean. Woman at the desk looked up, smiled. You're early, she said. Your appointment isn't until tomorrow afternoon. I watched your building appear. 30 minutes ago, this was an empty field. From your perspective, yes. From our perspective, we've been here since March. We're operating 3 months ahead of your timeline. Your December is our March. When you deliver tomorrow, you'll be delivering to March 21st, 2024. Even though your calendar shows December 21st, 2023. That's impossible. Is it? You watched us appear. You're standing in our building. You'll unload your cargo tomorrow at Dock 7 and we'll sign your delivery receipt with a March 2024 date. Then you'll return to December and we'll continue existing in March, and both realities will be true simultaneously. I backed out of the building, returned to my truck, sat trying to understand. The warehouse was real, but it existed 3 months in my future, operating on March timeline while I lived in December. My delivery was scheduled for December 21st, but I'd be delivering to March 21st. Cargo traveling across time. Morning arrived. December 21st for me. The warehouse was still present, still operating normally. At 3:30 p.m., I backed my truck up to Dock 7 as instructed. The dock door opened. Workers appeared, began unloading my 42 crates. I watched them work. They moved efficiently, using equipment that looked slightly more advanced than current models. Forklifts with designs I hadn't seen before. Pallets made of materials that seemed new. Everything was subtly future, 3 months ahead of standard equipment. The dock supervisor approached with paperwork. Sign here for delivery completion. I looked at the receipt, dated March 21st, 2024. Delivered to Mountain Ridge Distribution by Daniel Foster of Davidson Freight. All standard except the date. Why are you receiving cargo from the past? I asked. What's in those crates that you need 3 months early? Components for construction, he said. The building you're standing in requires materials that don't exist yet in your timeline. So we order them from your December, receive them in our March. Use them to construct the warehouse that you saw appear yesterday. It's a closed loop. We need cargo from your past to build the facility that receives cargo from your past. That's a paradox. It's logistics. Time is just another dimension to root through. Your cargo left Seattle in December, it arrived here in March. Both are true. Both happened. You crossed from your timeline into ours at these coordinates, delivered to our future, and now you'll return to your present. Simple shipping. He signed my receipt, handed me a copy. I walked back to my truck, climbed in, drove away from Mountain Ridge Distribution. Watched it in my mirrors. The building stayed solid for about 2 miles, then started fading. By 5 miles it was transparent. By 10 miles it was gone completely, and the field was empty again, just grass and rocks and Montana sky. I delivered to a warehouse that existed in the future, carrying cargo across 3 months of time, completing a transaction that served a timeline I hadn't reached yet. And my delivery receipt, dated March 21st, 2024, was proof. 3 months later, actual March 21st, 2024, I drove past those same coordinates. Mountain Ridge Distribution was there, solid and permanent, exactly as it had been when I delivered in December. I stopped, went inside. The receptionist recognized me. You delivered our first load, she said. Back in December, or March, depending on perspective. We've been operating normally since then. Thank you for your patience with our timeline logistics. Do you receive many deliveries from the past? About 60% of our cargo comes from previous timelines. Drivers delivering to our coordinates find us before we're built, wait for us to appear, deliver to our future. It's how we source materials that don't exist yet in normal supply chains. And it works. The warehouse exists because drivers like you delivered to it before it was constructed. I left, continued my route, tried to forget about Mountain Ridge Distribution and its temporal logistics. But I couldn't forget the implications. If one warehouse received deliveries from the past, how many others did the same? How many destinations existed slightly ahead in time, pulling cargo forward, operating on advanced timelines? I started noticing them. Addresses that GPS showed in empty fields, phone numbers that answered with future tense descriptions, coordinates that led to nothing until specific times. About 5% of my deliveries over the following year were to future locations, places that hadn't been built yet but would accept cargo anyway, pulling it forward, across days or weeks or months. The strangest was a delivery scheduled for June 8, 2024. GPS coordinates in rural Nevada. I arrived to find nothing, called the contact number. Voice answered, "You will deliver on June 8, 2044. 20 years from your present. Please wait at the coordinates. The facility will appear when your timeline intersects with ours." 20 years, not 3 months, not a few weeks, 2 decades into the future. But my manifest was legitimate, my cargo was secured, and I'd been paid in advance. So I waited. At 4:17 p.m. June 8, 2024, the facility appeared. Massive complex, technology I didn't recognize, vehicles that looked alien. I delivered to receiving dock, signed paperwork dated June 8, 2044. The workers looked at me like I was from ancient history. To them I was. I was a driver from 20 years past, delivering cargo to their present. crossing 2 decades in one afternoon. When I left, the facility faded faster than others had. By 1 mile, it was gone. By 2 miles, I could barely remember what it looked like. Time distance was too great. My memory couldn't hold details from 20 years ahead. I'm Daniel Foster. I've delivered to the future 47 times now. Carried cargo across days, weeks, months, years, decades. Served warehouses that haven't been built. Facilities that exist ahead of my timeline. Destinations that pull freight forward through temporal logistics networks. If you're a driver and your GPS leads to empty coordinates, wait. If your delivery address doesn't exist yet, be patient. If the contact number answers with future tense, trust it. You're delivering to the future, carrying cargo across time, serving logistics that don't follow calendar rules. And when you finish, when you return to your present, don't question the receipt that shows impossible dates. You did deliver. Just not to when. To where is easy. To when is the challenge, but some cargo needs to arrive before its destination exists. Some deliveries build the places they're sent to. Some logistics create the future by serving it before it's present. That's the real work. Not just crossing distance, crossing time, delivering to places that aren't yet, serving timelines ahead of yours, carrying cargo to futures that need it before they arrive. We're not just truckers, we're time couriers. And the road doesn't just go forward through space, it goes forward through everything.